Hello guys, it's Sign here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, and today we're doing another Transformers issue review. Today we're looking at issue number 14, the second and maybe last part of this Starscream origin story arc. I'm pretty sure it's only supposed to be 2 issues, but I'm not 100% sure. This is still with DWJ, or Daniel Warren Johnson. It still has Jason Howard as the artist, and Mike Spicer as everything else, right? And I love this cover of Astro Train. It looks really, really awesome. I love how big he is. And this was a pretty good issue. It's not necessarily my favorite. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed some elements to it that I found really, really funny. But Starscream's not really my favorite character, and I don't really have too much of an interest in knowing more about him. So even though this is valuable and meaningful, it's not necessarily meant for me specifically, right? And so I'm looking forward to getting something new that relates to the overall story, right? But overall, I still did enjoy this. It's just like, in the levels of enjoyment compared to previous issues, this is not gonna rank anywhere near as high as those, right? So yeah, it opens up with the G.I. Joe characters. I don't know who these guys are. I think they're related to some organization called Mars. I don't know too much about G.I. Joe, so I'm not sure if they're even like Joe characters. They might be of the universe, but they might not be related to the US government, right? So they managed to save Starscream at the end of the last issue, and what they did is they hooked him up to a tank, and so Starscream now looks like a gun tank from the Gundam universe. So he has a weird tank tread body, and then his upper chest, his torso and up is attached to the base of it, right? And so he can rotate, but he actually doesn't have full control of himself. He is being controlled by the character. So I really enjoyed the gun tank reference. I thought it was really, really fun. And it turns out that these characters, these Mars characters, have planted bombs all over his body. So anytime he stops listening to their orders or to their driving mechanism, he will be blown up. And hopefully it might mean that he's blown up to smithereens, but I'm not really sure that their firepower is good enough, right? And then Starscream gets mad at an artist character that's there because he didn't draw him correctly. He says that his proportions are all wrong and that this guy needs to do better. And I thought it was pretty funny. And I think that this saves this character because the character choosing to draw Starscream shows Starscream that this guy finds him, meaningful, attractive, powerful in some way. And so he finds a little bit of an ego stroke there, and that saves this guy from dying, which is kind of crazy. So it's pretty funny. I enjoy this interaction there. He also likes the team's cat. They have a cat for whatever reason, and he enjoys it. He thinks it's kind of cute. And so Starscream sees the reality of the situation and decides to call a truce with these people. Starscream is angry at Megatron, though, because of the reality of his life and the way that Megatron ruined him. And then as they're going through this kind of area, they find Astro Train. He manages to convince him to join forces with Starscream, and Astro Train transforms into the awesome, NASA rocket that he looks like, and he gives them a lift. So he is now their, carrier character, I guess. And then there's this giant wave that's coming. They get on because they have no choice, and Starscream saves some other Combaticons and puts them inside Astro Train as well. And he gets them to join him, and they do it actually pretty quickly, almost with no prompting, because Soundwave and Shockwave are assholes that wanted to get rid of them and destroy them, and they saw that was the case, that they don't care about them, and so they decided to join Starscream. And later it turns out that off screen at some point, Starscream managed to get all of the bombs out of his body, and so now that they are kind of in a terrain that Starscream controls through the fact that Astro Train is part of his team, he manages to execute all of the Mars characters, all of the soldiers, except for the artist. He gets to live, and overall, this was a good issue. I just don't necessarily like it as much as any of the other issues previously because Starscream's not my favorite character. I'm not that interested in his backstory, and this is very much a transitionary chapter, right? So the thing that is interesting at this point is this story arc technically has ended, right? There's more stuff coming, but it doesn't necessarily have to relate with Starscream's origin story. Does that mean that we get a new artist now? Because so far it's been that every arc has a new artist. This was a mini arc, and so the artist could change, or they might not. I have not looked at the solicitings for next issue, so I'm not really sure. I wouldn't necessarily hate if there was a new artist, but I wouldn't necessarily like it either, depending on who it is, because even though Jason Howard is a good artist, his style is not really all that special, especially compared to Jorge Corona and Dana Warren Johnson's, right? Like, it feels very normal. And although I appreciate that, because it's nice to be able to land on a generic, enjoyable art style, it kind of loses a little bit of that kind of, I don't know what to call it. Not punk, but like alternative style that this version of Transformers kind of has to it, right? And so I feel like there was a loss of something that makes this series special when we got this creator here as the artist. But if we transition over to someone else, I'm not sure who would be, and I'm not sure that I would like their style either. So I'm kind of unsure about how to feel about this. But in general, I think it'd be fine if Jason Howard stayed. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Transformers number 14. Let me know what you thought. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys later.